Communications is a really big topic in our trainings. What happens is that, so in our trainings, we really try to enable and give nannies confidence and the words to ask for what they need. And typically, the reason why this is really important is because at Strong Start, we believe that healthy homes equal healthy children. If the atmosphere and the environment and the energy at home is positive, that will positively impact your child. And the thing about children is that they really feel the energy of their caregivers or the energy of the home. So even if your nanny is amazing with your child, but she has a grievance with the employer, and even if she would never take that out on the child, that your child will ultimately feel that she's distant or she's distracted or there's something on her mind. And so what we try to do is we try to reduce those distractions and those issues, and we really enable nannies to be clear in what they need. And what we found in our trainings is typically the issues that come up are pretty is solvable. For example, one of the key issues that come up is that if an employer is going to be late to dismiss their nanny from her duties, that they just give her enough warning so she can plan her day. The example I gave earlier was that if a child, if she has children and they need to be picked up from school, so if they know that their employer is going to be late, she can arrange for somebody else to pick up the child or speak to the school and be like, listen, I'll be here at that time. But if the employer's going to be late and doesn't warn the nanny, what happens is that she may not say to the employer like, hi, can you let me know when you're going to be home because of just any barriers that she sees. And I think that there's some fears within nannies. Like they may think, okay, if I speak up, I might lose my job. Or if I speak up, I might be punished in some sort of way. And so there's some barriers that we find that there's reasons why they don't feel confident in speaking up. But if they do, what we encourage them to understand is that if they do speak up and do it in a nice way, like a kind way, find the right words to express what you need, then what happens is that the problem goes away, right? Like you address the problem and the problem gets solved. And typically what we encourage them to understand as well is that employers are not intentionally creating an issue for them, right? Like maybe an employer doesn't, because a nanny hasn't spoken up about something, the employer likely doesn't even realize that it's a problem when she comes home late. And so we want nannies to feel confident in being able to find the right time to have a conversation, and then finding the right words. So for the example of being late, what we typically encourage nannies to do is, not to address the problem right when the employer comes home late. Because typically at that point, children are needing mommy. Mommy is likely to be like kind of flustered and coming in because she as well is feeling like she's late for her children. And so that's probably not a good time. But maybe what you do is the next day you can say, listen, there's a couple of things that I need to talk to you about. When is a good time for you to have this conversation? And so the employer will give a time, and then to be disciplined and confident enough to follow up during that time. Like if they said Saturday at noon. So make sure on Saturday at noon that you go back to your employer and say, like we discussed meeting today at 12, is this still a good time? So at that point, you're starting at neutral ground. Everybody's feeling good, everybody's fine, and you're at a place where you're at a good place. And then you raise it and you say, just so you know, what I was hoping, if you're going to be late, can you please let me know by 5 p.m. if you're going to be late for returning home, just so that I can make the arrangements for my child to get picked up by somebody else. At that point, it's such a reasonable request that most reasonable employers would be able to be like, no problem, that makes sense. I will be able to do that. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was a problem in your life. And problem resolved, right? And if your employer doesn't do that, then not to take it personally, but to remind them, because sometimes to form a habit, it takes a couple of tries. And if you are diligent enough to remind them, there's going to be a point where you see a behavior change and the employer's on board, and then there's no problem. So when it comes to communication, we feel that nannies need to know the right structure to raise a problem, and then the right words to say, and how to make it a non-issue, and then also to come with solutions. That's what we encourage nannies to do, because sometimes it might be that she might be like, when you're late, my child's late and I don't know what to do. But that's actually not the truth. You kind of know, we want them to find their solutions. Like, what would really help me is that if you let me know by 5 p.m. that you're going to be late, it gives me enough time to make other arrangements. So nannies really need to dig in and know what they need and then be able to find the right words to communicate it to employers. And what we feel is that if those things are eliminated, and then there's a real good understanding between employer and employee. It's a give and take relationship, and it's a really intimate relationship in a way, because these are the nannies are people that are in your homes, taking care of your children, are around a lot. So it's a kind of an intimate relationship that needs to have professional boundaries on both parts, on the part of nannies and then on the part of employers as well.